So here we are, after a long and somewhat arguably uneventful build for Revolution. Revolution is coming in about 3 days. So yeah, I'm gonna make my predictions before I put out the review for Dynamite. It's still in the works. So why don't you enjoy this video that's easier to make, that doesn't have a lot of frames. So please give this video a like, comment your predictions as well as like some essays you want to share on the comment section. Let's begin. So the way I'm going to preview and predict this pay-per-view is to maybe present the matches in order of how I would order them if I was a booker. And thankfully I'm not, but yeah. For the first match, it's going to be Jungle Boy versus Christian Cage. Jungle Boy opened the pay-per-view last time, so why not this time as well? But for this feud, I don't know about that, because there was about like months, I forgot how many months, but months of just no contact between Christian Cage and Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy's been doing his own thing, not all of which was good, but he was moving on. And now they just insert Christian Cage back as if like nothing happened between that time. They don't take enough weeks to reheat the feud. I think this should have been like a month feud again. Maybe like bring things down to like scratch, since that's basically what happened. The feud is not as hot as like the last time. And this feels like Christian's just there to put Jungle Boy over, rather than being like a legit feud. And what the hell is Christian gonna do after this? Like, honestly, like you could have at least milked like about a month or two, like build to the next pay-per-view cycle. They should have been put on hold. I think Jungle Boy should have been put against like a champion, and then Jungle Boy loses, probably because of Christian, or Christian attacks him after, like whatever. It should have been Jungle Boy versus Samoa Joe at the pay-per-view, honestly. And that's kind of connecting with the other match in this show. So yeah, for me here, Jungle Boy is going to win, no problemo, unless they want to extend this even further, which I don't think they want. And then who knows, maybe Christian can go back to the WWE, team up with Edge. But yeah, who cares at this point? Everyone likes nostalgia. So yeah, Jungle Boy wins, finally moves on from this feud. Let's move on from this match as well. So the next match that should be wrestled, let's see, maybe Jamie Hayter, Saraya, and Ruby Soho. Since you don't want the crowd too hot that they won't like respond to this, or maybe have this open the show, like that might be a good idea. They'll have a hot crowd at this match. It's not going to be hampered by having bangers before it. So yeah, for this one, this is the worst. This is the second worst feud coming into this pay-per-view. And I was predicting like a crisis level event that would shake AEW to its core. But instead, we got like a shallow feud of women spray painting each other's asses. And yeah, we don't really get faction lines drawn. It's just like basically the same as it started. Oh my god, this feud just like disappoints me so hard. But yeah, for this match, I think, no question about it, Jamie Hayter should win. She's the best women's wrestler in that division. She's better than Britt Baker. I don't know about the promos, but like in ring as a whole, Jamie Hayter is the best. She could keep up with the Joshis, and she basically wrestles like a Joshi as well. Like as well as the dudes do. I don't think Saraya is ready yet. And then as for Ruby, although I like Ruby, she's like the most convincing seller in all of that division, the best babyface in all of that division. I think her story with Willow is more important, and she doesn't really need the belt right now. And she hasn't put on a good enough singles performance that would warrant her to have a title reign. Because you can put Jamie Hayter with anyone, and that match will automatically be good. So yeah, Jamie Hayter champion. And then please progress the feud to be a crisis level event in the next cycle. So for the next match, now for the worst feud in all of AEW, and it's Chris Jericho versus Ricky Starks. I mean, these guys are over. The crowd is going to be hot for this match. but we've seen it before, and this shouldn't be any higher. Chris Jericho is at a stage of his career where he needs someone else with him who's great in the ring to have a great match. He can't carry it anymore. He might be like a ring caller, he might be the play caller, he might be the one leading the actual construction of the match, as well as some improvisations in the ring. But athletically, he's not much there anymore. Ricky Starks, on the other hand, great promo guy, very charismatic, but in the ring, needs someone else too who can carry his ass. Just like MJF or like CM Punk. But yeah, Ricky Starks is pretty on and off in the ring for me. When not paired with someone really good, the match can turn out to be boring. Just like the one with Ethan Page. But story-wise, Starks already has his win. So I actually think that if he wins against Jericho, it does nothing to Jericho and all for Starks. But seeing the recent news, they might extend this feud, and you know what? I'm not even going to bring that into existence. I know Jericho's bringing back Jericho, but he doesn't need to use it against Starks, really. He can wait until the next pay-per-view cycle. So for me, due to the failure of this feud, the only way you can salvage this is to have Jericho put Starks over again, elevate him back into the title scene by putting over Starks. So yeah, Ricky Starks wins this match. Okay, for the fourth match, let's see. Okay, I get it. Now for the most controversial match of the card. I mean, here, they'll probably put the Elite versus House of Black earlier, or maybe at this point. But for me, I think the four-way tag match maybe should have opened the show or should be here in the middle. Because we have the Guns versus the Acclaimed versus Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett versus Orange Cassidy and Danhausen. Okay, so for the teams in this match, I think now it makes much more sense story-wise. Since we basically have two feuds going on in this match. It progresses the Golden Globe story of Paul Walter Hauser. They're probably going to bring him back at a future TV show. I don't know when. But this feud is maybe going to neutralize both of those teams. They're going to cost each other the match, basically, and heat up the feud somehow. But couldn't this have been done as its own separate thing? This didn't need to intertwine with the tag team title storyline. Danhausen and Orange Cassidy also aren't an actual tag team. Hook and Danhausen are so much more a tag team than what you have here with Orange. They could have had Aussie Open, or the Butcher and the Blade, or even the Best Friends. If you're not going to have FTR come out yet, I hope they're still with the company, but if this was never going to be FTR, they picked one of the worst choices, even though the storyline makes sense. Stories, man. Stories sometimes hamper good booking. But the real winners here will only come from either the Guns or the Acclaimed. And I think now that FTR isn't the fourth team, it's going to be the Guns. Totally. Yeah, the Guns are going to retain, and then hopefully in the next pay-per-view cycle, they're going to feud with FTR. Because of some comments, I think, from a podcast, or is it a tweet, that FTR were being shot on by the Guns. And I mean, it kind of looks like a work. They go through it too much to not be a work. And plus, Dax has also been shitting on the Ass Boys. He's been feuding with them on his podcast. So I actually think this is a work. This is clearly, even though I was wrong about them being the Jokers, I think this, if you put them one-on-one against FTR, one-on-one tag teams, I think that could be a better way to improve that story, to tell a better story with that feud. I mean, they still have until April. They can have a short title run and then drop it. But yeah, things are looking pretty dire for the FTR situation. Cultaholic can only report so much reassurance about FTR staying. Yeah, hopefully they do so. They can feud with the Guns. They can continue that story. So I have the Guns winning here. So after this, maybe this is where you put Samoa Joe versus Wardlow, so this doesn't get killed by that Elite versus House of Black match. Yeah, that match is gonna kill anything that follows it, except maybe when it's followed by 2 straight stipulation matches. So for this one, Wardlow is going over. It's been confirmed on Dynamite because Powerhouse Hobbs won the ring. He won the ladder match and will probably go through Konosuke Takeshita first, but he's the one to go after Wardlow right after. Honestly, I think Joe should retain. I think he's a better champion than Wardlow. He can have feuds with some baby faces, just like Jungle Boy. Just so you don't throw Jungle Boy in the world title picture right away. Actually, that won't be a bad idea, but yeah, mostly just because Joe's better. But since we already know who's the next challenger, I think Wardlow's gonna win this. He's gonna take the TNT title and then lose it to Powerhouse Hobbs after one pay-per-view cycle. So yeah, hopefully it's better built this time. But this feud was pretty okay. I liked one promo and the whole thing about Wardlow's hair. And I also think Joe did him a favor for cutting his hair. So yeah, after this, for the last 3 matches, I think this is now where you put in the Elite versus House of Black. No doubt, this is going to be the show stealer. This will destroy any match that comes after it. If it doesn't have a stipulation, or it doesn't have a story, or it's just not expected to be a banger. And no, Sheamus and Drew did not create that term. The Trash Taste Boys said it before they did. And people have said that before them. But yeah, for this match, for the love of the Elite, I think you should have them lose. This title is below actually both of these teams. And you're just giving it to House of Black just so they can elevate it. They can have more compelling storylines with it. But that's the thing, that's the trios titles. These are lower card belts, so I don't know why anyone wants to have this with anyone else. Like, this should be with the lower card teams like Top Flight, The Firm, whatever you want. Even the Guns and Daddy Ass. Or like Kip and Butcher and the Blade. This should not be this high up in the card. Because eventually the upper card wrestlers won't feel like they're being used correctly or that they're being placed high enough in the card. So yeah, I think House of Black wins this. The Elite go their separate ways. As a trios, Kenny goes back in singles, Bucks go in tag teams. Hopefully they stay in AEW and then feud with CM Punk. If they can find a way to work with all of that, maybe bring in Ace Steel. While House of Black can be appeased at the time. They can do something with those belts, but I don't think much at all because there's no other team that can take them out. Maybe I would have the Best Friends take it after them, but honestly, just like have them vacate it or something. Have them vacate it so we can have like a lower card but entertaining team run with those belts. So yeah, House of Black win. And I'm expecting this to be a top match of the card. That's why it's placed here. The storyline was crammed to shit, but just have House of Black win it. Have the Elite be freed from these titles. So after this, next match is obviously not going to be the main event. It's going to be Hangman Page versus Jon Moxley. So yeah, this match is one of the 2 that was pretty well built. We had some pretty dramatic moments, but it kind of like slowed down when Kip almost beat Hangman. They had an even match and that shouldn't be happening. But thankfully, this was reheated after a match against Evil Uno, who drew 1 million viewers. Yeah, apparently they're draws. And 2 intense promos from this week's Dynamite. There's so much going on here. It's not the best executed, but shit just got to like a personal level between these 2. That I actually think that this is one of the 2 matches that are actually like worthy of being in this card. That was well built enough to be put in a pay-per-view. It has the heat, it has the story, it just has it. Maybe like about 80% of it, but that's enough. And for this one, the record is, I think, 2-1 in favor of Moxley. So it would only make sense that Hangman wins this. This might finally turn BCC heel as they should, because who the hell, who in their right mind would choose to join that faction, which is like a Spartan army, where you're never comfortable? Who in their right mind would pick that faction where no fun is allowed? over a faction like JAS or the Best Friends. I don't think the feud should be extended after this. I think Paige should do something to revive the Dark Order. Maybe team up with them, feud with House of Black, or scratch that, have that happen much later. Have Paige and the Dark Order take those titles away eventually, but not right now. This is actually the most unpredictable going forward after this show. So yeah, Hangman wins by the skin of his teeth. I'm expecting a lot of blood from both dudes. They're pretty good bladers. And this too is a match that can steal the show from the main event. So for the main event, MJF versus Bryan Danielson in a 1-hour Iron Man match. And I don't think this is as hard a call as people think it is. I think MJF's winning. It's more entertaining to have a heel champion and also easier to book. And honestly, if MJF loses after what Danielson said about him, it might bury him a little bit. But this could lead to another program, but I really don't know how you prolong this even more. Especially if pay-per-views are that far away from each other. MJF is still better on the mic than anyone there. Danielson cut his best promo in AEW ever, but it's not as deep as what MJF cuts. It's also too early, and it would jeopardize MJF's whole motivation, his whole storyline about the former WWE wrestlers. As much as I want Danielson to win the title, as much as people think it'll help increase the ratings or get AEW a better deal, booking wise, it doesn't make sense to have him lose the belt this early. I also don't know who his next pay-per-view feud is gonna be. It might be Hangman Page, but I don't think it's the right time. Hangman or Kenny should be the ones to beat him. Maybe it could be Kenny, but he's not as built up as Hangman right now. He needs to be in that singles division again, even longer. So yeah, MJF wins. But if somehow Danielson manages to win, if they decide to put the belt on him for the reasons I stated earlier, I also don't think that there's much there. I don't think there's many opponents to put him against. And it just makes more sense to have Jungle Boy face off against MJF. So, I don't know, maybe against Miro? Against Samoa Joe would be nice as well. But no, I think MJF is more likely to win. And this time, it might be just by 1 point that's done near the end. I like draws, and I would want the match to end in a draw just so you can protect both of them. But that would obligate you to give a rematch to Danielson, and I don't want that. Especially if it's another pay-per-view cycle over. So yeah, that's it for this preview and predictions of AEW Revolution. It's not as good a card as the previous shows. There's so many rematches here. It's like Tony Khan used WWE booking methods for this whole show. A lot of the feuds had stories, but not necessarily good stories. This pay-per-view cycle just feels a bit off, and I hope Tony Khan learns from this and does a reset after. Maybe hire 3 writers as advisors, led by Freddie Prinze Jr. and a bodyguard. So yeah, bye-bye.